What's the luckiest thing that's ever happened to you? I had my car stolen when I was 19. A few months later I was driving my new car from Seattle to Portland at 3 a.m. No other traffic around, and my stolen car passed me on my left. I followed the guy for about 120 miles back to Portland. At one point he pulled beside me and waved at me, thinking we were road rally pals. I returned a death stare, followed him home, called the cops and got my car back. When I think of what had to align for my car to find me again, it blows my mind. I also got my car stolen when I was 19. Someone had taken it for a joyride. The next day an anonymous caller found the car abandoned. It had a full tank, it was near empty before the theft, and a 6-pack in the back seat. Also found a neat knife. Thanks, guy. Somebody knocked a glass bottle of Snapple off the shelf and I had to go clean it up. I looked at the cap and it was a winner from their prize event. It was for a $500 gift card. I was at a mall and heard a woman scream from the upper level. I turned around, looked up, and reflexively caught a toddler who had somehow managed to squeeze between the iron safety rails and fallen literally on top of me, a good 20-25 feet below. Perfect catch, not a scratch. I've replayed this in my head dozens of times and still to this day do not know how the heck I did this. Got laid off 2 days before Christmas, had $10 in my bank account, said frick it and bought a 6-pack and a $1 scratch off, won $1,200. Surviving what should have been a fatal car crash. Before that day I never wore my seatbelt. Yes, I was an idiot. I left work that day for some reason just out of nowhere. I decided to put it on. 10 minutes later, somebody blew a stop sign from a side street and I T-boned them going about 45-50 miles per hour. It felt like I hit a brick wall. The car was totaled and I most likely would not have lived had I not put my seatbelt on. 2 years ago I was working as an airman at a Blue Angels show when one of them approached me to let him into the debrief vault. He thanked me and asked if he could do anything for me, probably thinking I would ask for a patch or picture. But I jokingly said to him he could take me up on the next flight. He laughed and said he would get back to me. Thinking that was the end of it, I bumped into the major an hour later and asked if I was ready for the ride of my life. I was pretty shocked, but just like that at the end of the day me and 2 other guys got to ride shotgun in the Blue Angels F-18s. Best example of right place and right time. Otherwise from this amazing experience my luck is usually sleeping. You're clearly feeling generous, OP. Why don't you tell us the luckiest thing that's happened to you? Hit the jackpot and decided to make it rain? I was in a foreign airport, running late, and just missed the dang train, like the sliding door slammed on my foot. Had to wait 10 minutes for the next one. Got chatting to a girl, now married for 6 years. This scares the crap out of me. Aziz Ansari's latest stand-up on Netflix, hilarious BTW, had a bit about this. His friend met his wife by running into her in a Bed Bath & Beyond parking lot when he went to the wrong car. But like, what if I am supposed to be at Bed Bath & Beyond right now? What if I am missing out on the love of my life because I make the train? Frick man. I don't know how lucky it is, but the odds of this must be astronomical. When I was about 7, I was walking in a field and out of nowhere a snake just landed on my neck. I freaked the frick out and ripped it off, and looked around to see who did it, but it was a large field and there was no place for people to hide. Anyways, I ended up finding the snake, and brought it home and it lived with me for a good 4 years until it slithered away, and I never saw it again. Mr. Slithers, if you're reading this, come back. In my freshman year of college, my roommate went to dinner 20 minutes before I did. Because of this, he was sitting alone. Because he was sitting alone, he got invited by a girl to sit with their table. When I came along, I was also invited to sit with them. This group later introduced me to the love of my life, who I never would have had any reason to meet otherwise. All because my roommate left for dinner early. I called a beer company's question and comment line in hopes of getting a free shirt. They gave me an all-expense paid trip to Las Vegas for me and 3 of my friends. Years later, the beer company rep sees us and says, "Oh, man, here we go. Finally a payoff on that promotion." Only to find that OP left out the name of the beer company. When I was about 4 I had an illness, HSP. It started off with some rashes, and then my kidneys shut down. So, you see, when your kidneys shut down, your body can't regulate your water retention and you end up retaining all the water. So my legs swelled up with water and I couldn't walk. My mom took me to my pediatrician, who was a fraudulent frick face, and he told my mom I had sprained my ankles, which was why I couldn't walk. She believed him and brought me home. The lucky part is when my dad, who has a doctorate in biology, came home, took one look at me and said, "She's going into shock." I would have died then if my dad wasn't smart enough to figure out what was wrong. Should have sued my pediatrician's ass. I don't know why we didn't. A while back, I was unemployed, broke as frick, and job searching like crazy. I had applied to at least 30 plus places and had some interviews over the course of 5 months, but remained jobless. One night, I decided to walk to the local pizza place instead of get it delivered. My fiancée at the time bought the pizza. Well, on the walk back, I noticed a baby bird laying in the middle of the road. I stopped, stared at it for a moment before picking it up and setting it under a nearby bush. Next day, I received a call from one of the places I had recently interviewed at, asking if I could come fill in some paperwork. Sure, yeah, absolutely. Well, it turns out, the hiring manager was with her girlfriend at a bar, having a drink on the patio and happened to see me save the bird. Earlier in the day, she had been going through all of the potential applicants and after seeing that, decided to hire me right then. It's been a little over a year now. I no longer have my fiancée, but I still have the same job and I recently got promoted to shift leader. Not only that, but the manager and I have become fairly good friends and she's helped me out in my personal life a lot as well. Not much to be proud of, I suppose, but I couldn't have asked for anything better. Character is what you do when you think nobody is looking. I broke my back and was told I'd have a 3% chance to walk again. I'm still walking. I won 7 next ticket is free scratch tickets in a row and then nothing. Frick you, scratch card company. I just had a great idea for a lottery that only ever pays out in more tickets. 2 years ago I worked an 18-hour shift without eating. When I finally left I went to the grocery store across the street, asked bakery girl for bread for sandwich. She makes me entire sandwich herself instead. Best ever. Marrying her in 2 weeks. Never would have met her without that long day. In my senior year of high school, I took and dropped a Latin language class for study hall. I cheated to get a C in Latin and saw the pitiful Latin writing on the wall. When I got to study hall the driver's ed teacher said, though I didn't know it then, the most important words I would ever hear: go sit 1 seat over from the girl with the dark hair. I have been dating and married to the dark-haired girl ever since. I'm now 53 years old. I once got to bottle feed and hold a baby orangutan when I was about 13. It sucked knowing at such a young age that that was going to be the best thing that ever happened in my life. I have literally been reading every single comment on this thread for 4 hours. I need a break. Be back later. One time I ordered a double cheeseburger and got a Big Mac meal. I totally should have drowned on 2 separate occasions. Story 1. When I was around 3 or 4, my mom was with me by the pool in our backyard. She was cleaning the patio nearby with a hose. I was just chilling out being a toddler. Anyway, she had her back turned to me for a few moments, and when she turned around again I was nowhere in sight. Turns out I decided to crawl into the pool. She jumped in and I was already at the bottom, apparently with a big smile on my face. Don't know why, I hadn't the slightest idea how to swim. When she pulled me out I was giggling with joy. She didn't find it as funny apparently. Story 2. I was about 9 or 10, and my brother and I had this nice tucked away beach all to ourselves in Santa Cruz. It was about a 100-yard stretch of beach with rocks closing it in, very cozy. Anyway, he was taking a nap and I got in a bit over my head going out to the 7-foot breakers. I fricked up and took a wave the wrong way, pounded against the sea floor a bit and swallowed a bunch of water. When the wave subsided I was too out of it, too weak to fight the riptide, and I floated out again just to get pounded by another wave. Brother somehow woke up, came out, grabbed me, and swam me back in. He is a lifeguard, so I was fortunate to have that on my side. I had swallowed too much water to yell, so I don't know how he woke up, but I would have definitely died. He probably hasn't thought twice about it, but I definitely remember it every time I am close to the ocean. Luckiest thing that happened to me is that we discovered how sick my wife was before losing both her and my unborn son. Thankfully they pulled him out in an emergency C-section and he just celebrated his 7th birthday. Mom is doing fantastic now as well. Double organ recipient. Gearing up for an epic Christmas vacation in the Caribbean this year. Jamaican me cry. Wasn't me, but my best friend was in a toy store at the outlet mall. He was standing in line waiting to check out when a young boy and his mom cut in front of my friend. Being mature, he didn't say anything and let it go. 10 seconds later an old lady drives into the store, hit the wrong pedal by accident, and kills the mom and son who cut in front of my friend. They walked away without a scratch. Well, that escalated quickly. I won a free iPad. I originally didn't even know what to do with it, and when the school gave it to me, they had photographers and kept asking me how excited I was. I just kept looking at it thinking, if I don't take off this shrink wrap I've just made $600. Got pooped on by a pigeon. I got into a good school and was able to live my own life and not have to rely on my mom for financial support. At first, I was happy to leave because my mom sometimes was overwhelmed by the fact that she was a single mom and did stuff she shouldn't have, but she has always wanted us to have a better life than herself. And I'm really happy that although my life is unconventional, I am indeed happy. 3 have gold. One day, I was feeling kind of low and sometimes I check around OkCupid for a self-esteem boost. I happened to notice this 98% match had visited my profile a few hours before. I checked him out and he was the male equivalent of me. I sent him my best opening message, aka, why the frick didn't you message your perfect match? You think you're too good for me or something? We talked for 4 months straight, day and night. Now I've tricked him into marrying me. That was the luckiest thing that ever happened to me. This will probably totally get buried, but I'm sure you'll see it. This is the unluckiest and luckiest all rolled into one. When I was 10 years old I got a boardwalk on the Monopoly game at McDonald's. My mom didn't understand the significance or thought I was bullshit and threw it away. When she found out how important and rare it was, we spent a week at the dump trying to find it with no luck. To further make this painful, we didn't have much money when I was young and my parents were recently divorced. I paid for that dang meal with my own hard-earned money and it took me about 15 years to finally forgive her. That was the second year that McDonald's had the game out, so not everybody knew the importance of Boardwalk. This was during the years when only 5 boardwalks were in circulation. I've several people tell me that it was the other way around, but I know differently because I already had 6 park places. Buying into Bitcoin in early 2011. I once opened a pack of Gush shares that had 12 in one pack. They usually only have around 5 or 6. That was a wonderful day. I once opened the box to reveal 7 chicken nuggets. Being adopted, my parents and I don't get along all that well, but it could have been so much worse. I was once walking down the street and caught a $20 bill on the fly as it fell from the clear blue sky. I saw something fluttering high above and reached it just as it was at arm's length without breaking my stride. Surviving all the stupid things we did as teenagers is probably the real lucky part, but I still think of that money falling from sky every now and then. You have been visited by the winged Huzzah in your darkest hour. When you're under siege and the battle seems lost, he will arrive and save you. If you comment keep fighting, Papa. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.